Hi, I'm Laurel, founder of Laurel's Originals, and I'd like to invite you to my studio and show you some techniques that I've learned with stamping with jute. So we're going to start off with jute. Um, one of the jutes that I really enjoy working with, it's this heavy weave. And I actually discovered it because it was what in Costa Rica we have a product called Coffee Rica, a coffee liqueur, and it's what it was packaged in. So the jute, when I use this jute, they're usually smaller pieces, okay? But I like it. It gives the background a really interesting texture. And the stamps don't have to be a design in themselves. They can be part of another design, the background. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use these textured designs. So I have some house paint in a tray, and I'm going to paint this jute. Before you start, it's really important that you have lots of rags. These rags are important. This is a cotton t-shirt, but you can use like an old sheet, old pieces of flannel. You do need cotton. You need something that's going to absorb that paint because that's what's going to give you the design that comes from the jute. Otherwise, it might just be a blobby mess. So I'm going to paint this piece of jute. Okay, so I brought my tray that I use for leaves or all my stamps, and I'm going to paint this piece of jute. And before I stamp on any project, I always like to stamp on a piece of painted canvas. This canvas is going to give me a similar texture to what I'll be working with on the canvas rugs. And also it's a great place to experiment and see how things are going to turn out and try different, just try different techniques. So I'm looking at this jute and I'm seeing that I can see the holes. There's no blobs of paint coming out. So I'm just going to turn it over and lay my rag over it and press down. I'm holding it with my hand and I'm pressing it down with the other hand. Again, when you're stamping, you want to be directly over your stamp. You don't want to be pushing this way. You could just push the stamp. And this is let me show you. This is what that looks like. Okay. Now, just like this, it may not look like much, but here, let me take you over. We're going to go take a walk in the studio. So here you can see the jute in the border of the banana stamp. Here it is in the border of the cowrie shell. So from a distance, it just looks like a jute mat. I've done entire rugs with only this stamp, and it looks pretty fantastic. Okay, I'm going to show you another rug. This is a circle design with the African designs. These are all hand painted, but you can see I use the jute in the background of this design. And so it just gives it more texture instead of just a solid beige circle with the Aboriginal design on top of it. It has this jute. So the jute really gives your design different textures. I'm going to try another jute. This is much smaller. This is something I bought in a material store. And to be honest, I have no idea how it's going to look. I think I'll just cut it and make it into a smaller piece. And I'm going to paint it, and let's see what that looks like. I really have no idea. I've never tried this one before. It might come out kind of globby. I can, I'm holding it up to the light to see if I can see, and I see some black patches here. But this cotton cloth might absorb some of that. So I'm going to lay it down. Okay. We'll see. I've never really tried this one before. Oh, that looks really cool. Okay, so we have the finer jute here, and we have the thicker jute here. Now I'm going to do a different experiment, and that's with my water. I'm going to take some water and just spread it on. I do this with the leaf press, and it really softens the design and disperses the color and kind of gives it an interesting background. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, I put some water on the canvas. And I'm going to go back to this thicker jute. And put it on the water just to see what that's going to look like. Okay, I'm not really happy with this. I'm going to try it again. This is why we experiment. This is why we have a piece of canvas to experiment on. I try all my stamps, no matter what I'm stamping. I always try it on my painted canvas first. Now that's a little more interesting. Maybe it had too much water. Okay, so you can see some different effects that it could have. Let me give. Okay, here I wanted to show you a rug that I used these techniques on, and this actually had a really solid bright green border. It was a replica of a design that I made for in Aruba, but then I decided to soften that bright green. And so first I used the water with the jute for the background and a little bit of a darker color, and then I used the jute dry on top of that. And I'm not so concerned about these blotches because in the end this border is going to be covered with plants. I just wanted to have a different sort of background to the plants. Behind the plants you're going to see some different colors and textures, and it just makes it so much more interesting than just a solid background. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed my tutorial on stamping with jute. Look forward to more tutorials, and if you sign up for my Canvas Rug Crafters email, you will get the first 2 modules for free of how to make your own canvas rug. There's also a link to my full course on how to make your own canvas rug. All right, thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.